Joshua Mason, and I'm a living historian with the Newport Historical Society.
Hello, and I'm Brandon Aglio, a living historian also with the Newport Historical Society. And I'm here today to talk about soldiers of the American Revolution, primarily enlisted soldiers. The struggle for independence, of course, began in 1775, and the extra-legal Continental Congress would develop a Continental Army in which all 13 colonies, later states, would provide troops for. However, the Continental Congress had little power in creating laws, goals, or even really any control whatsoever. And so it was up to the states themselves to provide not only the men for these regiments, but also the clothing and equipment. So by 1778, several states will struggle to create enough uniforms and equipment for the men in which they are providing to their regiments. The uniform of a private soldier would often be very ad hoc, having both state-issued items as well as items brought from home upon the men's backs. For example, in my uniform, my shoes, my linen overalls or gaiter trousers, and my cheaply made Osnaburg hunting shirt, modeled after those seen on riflemen coming from the backwoods of Virginia and Maryland, will be all state issued. My waistcoat and hat, however, will be byproducts of my own usage, being brought from home and placed on my body to keep warm and to keep well clothed. My musket will also be provided by the state, being issued to me after it arrives from France. The men of the Continental regiments will no longer be the patriots who drop their plow and pick up their muskets from 1775. Instead, these men will be of the lowest sorts, coming from places where they are of little means, where they are men of no substance, transients, or even sons of fathers. The bottom of the barrel will be scraped so badly for many states in picking men for Continental regiments that oftentimes drafts will have to be made from militia regiments. Those serving in the militia who could afford to will pay a substitute to go in their stead. Others, if they owned an enslaved person, will send them as a substitute as well. For those who could afford neither, they will have to serve in the Continental Army, oftentimes for several months as levies.
Just like the struggle to equip the enlisted men with hunting shirts, the struggle to even equip officers was a problem for the men. Creating a uniform distinctly for the officers created this equality amongst them, establishing the esprit de corps oh so necessary for an army to survive. Clothes alone do not make the officer. When the British took American officers as prisoners, they often complained that American officers would demand to be treated just as that, as officers. British officers had to pay for their rank and for their commission, whereas American officers didn't have to do that. Instead, they acquired their rank whether by knowing the colonel or by showing merit. British officers couldn't understand that why this wig maker, tailor, or farmer would demand to be treated the same as a second or third son of a duke or a baron, just because he may have had a piece of lace upon his shoulder or a sword at his side. American officers, though, would strive to be seen as equals to their enemy, not just through clothing, but also through knowledge. There are accounts of American officers' knapsacks being taken by the enemy and books being found upon it. There are officers in the German and British Army noting that this was a well-read army, as American officers turned to European manuals to learn the style of warfare fought on the continent.
While the Continental Army was never in one distinct uniform, they were uniform in their quest to gain independence from Great Britain, successfully doing so by 1783.